guys, Assalamu alaikum. This is Mehwish here. After a very long time, I'm back with another story. It's been a minute, guys, and I've just been really with a lot of projects going on and been giving seminars, been working on my book, and just been busy with clients and other personal stuff. Guys, today I'm going to bring up someone who I met by chance. And it's a really interesting story. So, my daughter goes to school, and one day I went to pick her up, and it was really hot that day. So, I just said, okay, why don't I just sit somewhere? And I sat behind this lady who was having a conversation with someone else. And I was just sitting there, I was just listening to her story. And she went on and on about her story. And then the bell rang and she told this person that I have to go. And she walked away, and I got up and I ran after and I said, excuse me. And I introduced myself to her, and she introduced herself to me. And I said, hey, I know that you weren't talking to me, but I was just sitting right next to you. And I heard your story. And it touched me deeply, and it was so inspiring. Would you please do a podcast with me? She was shocked, and she couldn't believe what was going on. And she was like, really? And I was like, yes, because your story is so beautiful. Your story has so much power and so many messages in it for so many women out there. So I would really want to do a live stream with you, so that what I've learned from the little bit I've heard from your story, people can learn from you. So that is how I met this incredible lady called Afifa, and she's coming live today, and she's going to talk about her story of self-acceptance. So without any further delay, let me bring her live, and we will talk about how her story transformed her. I'm just connecting with her.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you, Afifa?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. So, Afifa, I was just telling everybody how we met. It was a coincidence, and how
Yeah.
your story touched me. And that is why I wanted to come forward and talk about your story. So, before we dive into that, just a little quick introduction about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here and giving me this. I would consider this as an honor, that you thought my story was inspiring enough for you and the others to know about. So, my name is Afifa Mariyam. I'm Lahore based, but I've lived all my life in Qatar. My parents are Qatar based, and I was brought up there. I completed my early years education up till 12th grade. I was there. Then I came back for my medical studies. I'm a doctor by qualification, and I'm a teacher by profession. I've chosen education industry in the education field because I think I like teaching. So yeah, that's about it.
Awesome,
Not,
awesome. So, Fifa, let's just dive directly into your story. So, tell me,
so
what happened in your childhood, and how did you take control over your story and changed how you looked at it for you?
yeah, so if you could see, I have vitiligo. This is a skin condition. Everybody is now familiar with it. And it is a skin condition where you start losing your color pigmentation of the skin. So I started having it when I was around 4 and a half. And, because we are 90s kids and people back then, they were not very appreciative of the fact that you should, respect others' privacy and you should accept others as they are, because other than the appearances, people might be something else as well, yeah?
Right.
और उस वक्त बच्चे भी, they were not very well, how to put it, उनको इतने अच्छे तरीके से, they were not taught like that. you
Right,
know,
right.
that you have to be acceptable. You have to have that kind of acceptance for others as well.
Right.
So I remember I did not have any friends in school because of my skin condition. In my early years, from grade 1, 2, 3 up till grade 5, the particular incident that we're talking about is has happened when I was in grade 5 actually. And because my parents were not very aware of what this condition is, so they were taking me to all kind of doctors, and I was going through all kind of treatments which were available at that time. uh, you know So-called treatments, because apparently this thing is autoimmune and it can't go away. So what happened actually is, because of my treatments, I was literally of a chocolate brown color. And you can imagine a girl aged 8, 9 years, a fifth grader, 9, 10 years, and chocolate brown color of pure body ka, and then having these white patches around the around eyes, around my face, on my neck. So students in my class and the kids around me, they were not comfortable talking to me, and they were not, comfortable being friends with me. So for that reason, I was kind of left alone. But that did not bother me that much, because I did not realize that it was something. Mm, there was something, let's say I was already being I was used to the fact that people are not going to be friends with me, to be honest. As a kid, I understood the fact, even though my parents made sure that they told me that there's nothing wrong with you and all that. But, around me, I was kind of familiar, and I had accepted the fact that, okay, nobody's going to be friends with me in school. But there was this particular teacher, of course, I'm not going to name her now because I don't know where in the world she is right now, but she was quite elderly at that time as well. That particular teacher, she used to teach me mathematics, and I don't know what her problem was. I was a really bright student. I was always scoring really well in school, in class, all the tests, everything. And I don't know, for some reason, of course, now the I know what the reason was, but she had this discriminatory kind of attitude towards me, and she always had to pinpoint me no matter what. Just maybe classmate, any other person who has done anything in the class, she would pinpoint me. Afifa, don't you dare do this. Afifa, you need to mend your ways. Day after day after day after day, this was a kind of a pet behavior, there was a set pattern for her. And I kept on taking this mental abuse, and I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I am not, good enough for her. She was my mathematics teacher, and I was really good at math because my dad is very particular about math. So I was good. So I could not figure out what the problem was actually. I could not pinpoint कि उनको actually मुझसे what is her problem.
Right.
And this one particular day, we had a test. We took a test, all of our class, the boys and the girls, and we were sitting in the class. And there was this girl, very pretty girl in my class. She was actually very pretty, mashallah. And she used to sit right in front of me. So it was kind of a contrast. One very pretty looking girl, and behind her, some very weirdo sitting. So it was a very, very contrasting image. But what happened that day was, we submitted our test. She was collecting everything, and all the students, they gathered on her desk, and she could clearly see that all the students were right in front of me on her desk, on my classmate's desk. And even then, she stood up on her desk, she banged the table, and she kind of shouted, "Afifa, what are you doing? You need to mend your ways. This kind of behavior is not acceptable." And that particular moment, Mavish, something snapped inside me. I clearly remember that particular moment, and the feeling that I got. It was so much rage. I I I was like, उस वक्त in my brain something exploded, and I banged my table exactly the same way she did, and I stood up, and I till date I can hear myself actually. I yelled at her and I said, "Ma'am, what is your problem with me? You can very clearly see that all of them are standing right in front of me, and I'm sitting alone at the corner of my class. And even then, you are pinpointing me." And she got offended. She was appalled. How dare she talk to me like that? And she was like, How dare you talk to me like that? I'm going to take you to the principal. And then I said, no, you're not going to take me to the principal. I am going to take you to the principal. And I am going to tell him that you have been, having this discriminatory behavior towards me because of my appearance. And I don't know where that came from. At that particular moment, it just hit me that there are so many other kids in the class who are doing not so well in the studies, but she had a problem with me. The only reason that I could understand was because I look different. That was the moment when I said, enough is enough. And I was in grade five. Trust me. She dragged me to the principal. She did. We went to the principal's office. We had the embassy school in Qatar, and he was one of the persons from the embassy. And God bless his soul, he was a very kind person. He listened to both of us, and he actually did scolded the teacher. And उन्होंने कहा कि आप जाओ. I'll talk to her. I came to know later that she was really, you know, given a shot of her own medicine. कि how dare she कि वो एक बच्चे के साथ, how can she do this discriminatory thing? And from that particular moment, Mahesh, मुझे I feel that something changed inside me. From that particular moment, I started making people listen to me. And the moment they started listening to me, they started not noticing what I looked like. They stopped looking at me and they started hearing me. And God knows, aaj tak, I've never felt that I don't have friends or I have any problem talking to anybody. Throughout my school years, throughout my university years, I could feel that I had that aura that people could come and talk to me, despite how I looked. And my husband, when I got married, he actually, you can say it's kind of a love marriage, because he liked who I am, the way I project myself. And I feel so blessed that I was given this kind of infusion, the insight, that I could defend myself, I could stand up for myself. That was the moment of self acceptance for myself. That how I look does not matter, what I am matters. So that's the whole story. That's how, me being here, meeting you, I think, is a connection to whatever started in grade five. That's all I can
Yes,
say.
that is so true, Fifa, and that is what I talk about through my platform. Is it's 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 our story, right? So we are the authors of our own life journey, and it's
True,
really important to sit and reflect on the story we have created in our head about especially ourselves, because that story is kind of giving us the layout of how we're showing up for ourselves. And in your
true, true,
case,
true.
from grade 1 to grade 5, there was this story that kept you dispowered because I have
True.
this condition and I'm a widow, I'm a misfit, whatever that story was. The same story kept you dispowered because you didn't believe in yourself, you couldn't accept yourself,
True.
and
True,
you
true,
you
true.
live with rejection, and you thought this was a curse or whatever. It was all
Yeah, yeah, true.
dispowering beliefs, right? But in that moment when your teacher was there, something struck you. It's
True.
always a moment in our lives when we go like, and the awakening just happens. It's not like
Yes,
you're
yes.
waiting
That's a
to
perfect
awaken
word.
me.
True,
Yeah. So something
true.
inside of you awakened and you said,
Before
that's
that, I
it.
felt, yeah, before that, now when I reflect on that, before that particular moment, I feel as if I've been in a slumber. My first rejection was when I first contacted this thing. It was kind of an overnight. I slept fine and I got up and I had those patches around my eyes. And the first rejection that I got was from, there was a girl who used to work in our household. I was in Pakistan for my cousin's wedding, and
Okay.
I was 4.5, 5 years old at that particular time. And this girl, she used to play with me. And when I contracted this, and I woke up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror and said, "Mom, something is wrong. Something is different." Mom said, "It's okay. It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine." And that particular moment when I met that particular girl whom I used to play with, that was the first rejection. She said, "Oh no, I don't want to play with you. You look different." That was the time when I made myself, be fine with the fact that okay, people are not going to be friends with me anymore because now I'm different. Till grade 5, मैं वही slumber, I was in that slumber,
One
and
rejection
grade 5,
defines the
yes,
tone of your life from grade
yes,
1 to grade
yes,
5.
true. That is true. That is true. That is true. That is true.
And that is
And
so
thank
important,
God,
and I'm so glad that you really pinpointed that, because it's so important to really see, uh, when somebody is rejecting you, what story are you telling yourself, that yes, I'm worth rejection, yes, I'm not worthy, because someone else's words only matter when we add meaning to it. I can sit
true,
here and go in a different language. You don't know that language. Let's say Chinese, or let's say French, any language that you don't know. And I can sit here and say bad words to you. I can abuse you, and you could just be sitting there and saying those words are so funny and laughing. Why? Because you don't understand the meaning, right? So
true,
the meaning we give to the words of other people about ourselves is what sets the tone for how we're going to show up for ourselves,
true, true, true,
right?
true, true,
So it is
true,
so important for anyone hearing here, and of course, we learn from your story as well, is to really, yes, sometimes it's hard when somebody rejects us. It's hard, and you feel hurtful. But really, if we could just not react and just kind of hold back and see where is it coming from, why am I
true,
adding a meaning to it for myself? Their rejection is not for me to reject myself. Their opinion is their opinion. What my opinion
true.
about me is, it should be more important. And that's how you stay grounded, right? And after that
And
incident,
Mavish, yes, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off.
no, no.
Uh, I totally agree with what you're saying because it's not that I was not rejected after that. I was not being mocked or I was not, discriminated after that. I was, of course. It continued. It still happens to this date as well. But
Mm,
after that, I started telling myself that's their opinion, that their words are not defining me,
mm,
and that approach has kept me going.
mm,
आज भी to this date, actually, people are kind of, there are some people who are ignorant enough to come up to you and say, oh, what is this? Oh, will you be okay? Oh, will you die? I have heard people saying, will you die from this? And then I have to sit them down and tell them, kind of educate them that no, don't worry, I'm not going to die,
mm,
specifically because of this. So it's not that
mm,
people are not doing this or I'm not getting this kind of a thing anymore, but the way the way I'm looking at it, or the way I've started looking at it, is how I keep on going. And
mm,
ab jab now, because my kids are, getting growing up, and they kind of, my son actually, he is kind of noticing that okay, my mom looks a bit different than the other moms. So he actually had kind of dilemma going on in his mind, and I suspected something. And a few days ago, actually, I was lying down with him, and he said, "Mom, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yes, go ahead." And he was like, you look different. Did something happen to you?" And then I had to explain everything to him. Oh, and then he said, "Oh, okay, all right. Now I can tell my friends why my mom looked different." So, bache, kids actually do discuss these kind of things, and I'm glad for the fact that they have this presence of mind to, not blurt out these things. Even though for a baby, for a
mm,
kid, I think it should be kind of normal to ask questions. But I'm very glad for the fact that mothers, all of us, are raising them in such a way that they know not to blur these kind of things out, and that's a very
right.
very tremendous thing in the society these days.
Yes, yes. Just a second, Afifa. Sarah, can you put
Sure,
on
sure,
this
sure.
light for me? I'm just going to put on the light and come back, Afifa. It's really dark right now here.
Sure, sure. It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. So whoever's watching us, if you have any questions,
Yes, I am back.
Yes.
And I think it's also, see, when we accept ourselves for who we are, not not every comment that comes across is a
True.
rejection, and we have to go in
Yes.
self-defense. Because I've
True.
seen this,
True.
that when we are not self-accepting, we are kind of bringing up some sort of resistance, and that is why we
True.
react, right? So
True. True.
when
True.
like you accepted yourself, and now when somebody comes to you, sometimes you can actually understand that this person is not trying to mock me, or this person is not trying to belittle me, but this person is actually concerned, and it's this curiosity that brings them up to
Yeah.
me to ask, what is this, are you going to be okay? So when we understand from a better place, then we know that not everybody is trying to put us down, because not
True.
everybody is trying to put us down, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes. We need to
because of
understand that.
yes, because of our self rejection, we take it personally. So when we
Hmm.
start to dismantle that self belief, we we kind of feel compassion, right? And then we say,
True. True. True.
before, when somebody says, what's that on your scale, you, instead of reacting, you kind of like say, you hold back, and you're like, no, this person genuinely is curious to know, and I'm going to educate them, right?
True. I want to share something. It just happened yesterday with me. One of my colleagues' daughter, we were standing in a cafeteria, and I've passed her in the corridor, and I waved to the colleague, and she's actually my son's teacher. So she had her daughter with her, and we were in the cafeteria, and the cute little cutie, she just came up to me and she said, "Excuse me, auntie, there's something on your eyebrow. It's
Oh,
not, can you wipe it off?" And
uh,
I sat down with her and I said, "I'm trying. It just does not get off." She said, "See, I told you, mom. I noticed." And then, I sat and I told her, "See, this is something that my skin is going through a phase." And she said, "Oh, okay." So
hmm.
that's how.
Right, right, right. So, Afifa, of course, now we're in a different age, and now people are well aware. And you probably don't get that much distance when you were younger. Uh, but still, for people, especially in our part of the world, in Pakistan, where people are still curious and people still want to put you down because you're different. Uh, if somebody's going through what you've gone through, what would you like to say? Let's say that there's a girl right now in this live stream who's in a fourth grade or fifth grade, and she's going through what you were going through at that time. What would you want to say to her right now, especially being in a Pakistani society?
I would just want to say, look at the mirror and tell yourself that you're fine. Just look at the mirror and tell yourself repeatedly that you're just fine. You're no different than others. To define you, not how you look. You just look in your mirror each and every time you get up and tell yourself that you're doing absolutely fine. I want to share something, if you would let me.
Yes,
When I was
yes,
in
please.
grade, I remember 10th grade, there was this Urdu teacher. This is again in Qatar. My Urdu teacher, her daughter, she had one daughter only, and her daughter actually started having vitiligo, and she was very upset because the girl was going through exactly the same what I went through. Of course, not with the teacher, but with her peers as well. And she called me one day to the to her office, and she said, "I want to talk to you." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "My daughter, she is going through this, and I want you to talk to her. And I want you to tell her how you cope up with whatever is happening." And I told her exactly what I just told you, Mavish, that look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're fine. You're fine. You don't have to wait for it to pass, because this is not going to go anywhere. This is now what you are. You can you have to learn to live with it, and it can only be possible if you start accepting yourself first. Only then you would be able to, you know, accept, start, people, let people accept you as well. First you have to accept yourself, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're fine. Only then you would be able to tell others that you're fine, and they don't need to worry about you, especially your
Yes.
parents. Because as as I see my parents, because when I was growing up, we were still in the 90s and early 200 2000s. My parents were, especially my dad, he's kind of frantic, when it is related to his kids. So he was, even though he used to tell me that you're fine and you would be fine, but I particularly remember that when I was very tan, or the marks were very, very visible, my dad actually bought me a makeup kit, and he bought me that eyeshadow palette, and I still feel very emotional whenever I think of that particular day. He came home from groceries. They were gone for groceries, and when they came home, my dad had this palette of eyeshadows in his hand, and he gave it to me, and he said, uh, "My name is Afifa Mariyam, so they call me Mariam at home." So he said, Mariam, I would like you to use this on your eyes so that you don't feel different. And I started crying because I was in grade 6 at that time, and I started crying, and I said, Dad, I said, Baba, I'm fine. You don't worry. And he started crying because all the trauma that I was going through, my parents were, going through with me.
Yes.
I am so blessed that we are living in this kind of world today where we can connect like this, and we can talk about this freely and openly, and without being, um, uh, without being an outcast.
Yeah.
I feel blessed that I had parents which, stood by me, and they made sure everybody in our family did understand. So I just want to say to everybody who is going through something like this that it's fine. It's just a skin condition. Accept yourself, and everybody else around you will accept you. It's as simple as that. And because I've been through this, it is as simple I'm saying it. It's not that it's easier said than done. No. Just make peace with yourself. The world will fall apart. The world will follow your footsteps.
Yes.
Everything will be fine. That's all that matters. You being fine and be at peace with yourself. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It again comes back to the story that we tell ourselves, right? And that is so
Ji.
important at every stage of our life to really reflect on what we are saying to ourselves about ourselves, because that again will tell us how we're going to show up for ourselves. Fifa, are you there? Because I see that you paused.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, you just paused, but that's fine. So,
Oh.
Afifa, tell me that your main struggle was from grade 1 to 5, and of course, then your awakening happened, and then you set the tone of how you're going to show up for yourself. But tell me, did you struggle then in college life and then with proposals and stuff? I know that you said that it was kind of love marriage, but before that love happened, did you have any issues when the marriage age hit for you?
In university, yes, I did face this. There were people who were kind of, apprehensive till date.
And were
I
you
was
in
in the medical
Pakistan or?
university. Yes, I was in Pakistan at that
Okay,
particular time
okay,
because uh, till grade 12, I was with the same people. So they were kind of, they understood how my mind worked, how my body worked, and what are my ethics. So till grade 12, then I did not have that kind of problem, that particular serious problem. But when I came back to Pakistan, some of the relatives, because they have seen me after a very long time, so they were like, oh, that's what has happened to her, And I was, when I came to Pakistan, I was like 17 and a half, because I got admitted in the medical university in Lahore.
okay.
Yeah. So I had some people in university, thankfully not any of the teachers, but my my batch mates and a few seniors. They used to they tried their level best to drag me because of my skin condition, but because I was mentally what do we seasoned like that. So I was kind of a mirror for them. Their insults or their that kind of behavior did not affect me. And thankfully, I did not go through that rishta or marriage proposals kind of a problem, because I was engaged when I was 18. I was in, yes, I got admission in my university and then I got engaged. And I was married when I was in third year of my medicine. So thankfully, I did not went through all that. But in university, yes. And after marriage, I had a lot of things, specifically after I had my son, because when I got married, these patches were not very prominent. They were fewer in sizes. Because this is a pathological condition and it aggravates once you conceive a baby. So when I was carrying my son, it started spreading, and that's when people started talking a lot. And that too, when I went back to Qatar to deliver my son, I got this a lot. And there were some aunties who were, I don't, I, I believe they did not have ill at heart, of course, but they had this very serious question: Are you going to pass this on to your baby as well? Is this going to run in your family now? And there was this particular auntie who had this very serious concern that, oh my God, is this contagious? Does it spread if you touch anything? And I was like, Auntie, you've known me for the whole of my life. Did it ever, reach out to you when you touched me or hugged me? And she was like, no, but now that it's spreading so quickly, do you think it is not contagious anymore? I was like, no, don't worry, it is not contagious. So yeah. And
Right.
then my second pregnancy, same case. Or yeah, this has been happening since then. It is not stopping now. I'm kind of 70% covered now.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
And I know you did speak about your son who just noticed recently. How old is he?
he's 7 now.
Okay. What about your other children? Have they had any
Uh,
questions
my
for
my
you?
daughter, no, my daughter still hasn't, because she turned 5 this year, but she still hasn't noticed
Okay.
the fact that I look different from other moms. Maybe because we are all wearing masks
Oh
these
yes,
days,
yes,
whenever
yes.
we, yes, this is the reason. This is the reason, that because my daughter is very, very inquisitive, very inquisitive. She has questions about everything. But she's not asking these kind of questions to me right now, because maybe I've not been to, because she's in a different school than my son. My son goes with me to the same school,
Okay.
and she's going to come next year, inshallah. Maybe because I'm not being with other kids' moms a lot, and that is why she's not having this kind of thought in her mind that, okay, my mom looks different. But my son does, because we have been to the gatherings where all the moms are together, and we are, talking among ourselves. And he was actually standing there when when you heard me talking to one of the
Yeah.
moms. So he was there, and he actually he then that was actually um, the questions that I told you that he asked me. It was after 2 days of that incident, and he said, "Okay,
Oh,
Mama, I
okay.
heard you talking to that lady. So can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes, you can," and then everything happened.
Okay, okay, okay.
So yeah,
It's so interesting because you see, your kids have not noticed this because they were born and they were brought up seeing you like that. So that is
yes,
that is their normal. That this is our mom. She's
yes,
beautiful
that's
the
their
way she is.
normal. That's
Yes,
true,
but when when
true. That is their
when
normal.
they step outside their zone, of what was familiar to them, then they got curious. Okay, then the self-doubt came, and then all the questions came that, okay, is something wrong like your son? I was just thinking about it, that how sometimes we live in that zone, and sometimes it's good. And in your story, it was good because your kids never thought that there was something wrong with mom, or mom is different, or all the other questions. For them, it was normal. This is how my mom looks,
True,
and this is normal, and we love her. And
true,
and so the normal we have is so important to do the reflection in our life, because sometimes we live in a normal which is not healthy for us, and it takes so much of pain and struggle to go through to realize that the normal that was set for us in our childhood was actually not healthy for us or was toxic for us. So I
True,
just really
true,
had to bring that up because it was so beautiful, because you say that your kids have never had anything to say, and your daughter being
true, true, true.
curious still doesn't it.
Yeah,
I mean, at home you're not wearing mask all the time, and before
true,
COVID,
true, true,
and girls
true.
are curious
Act,
more than boys
yeah,
anyway.
actually, I just remember something. She was watching a video, and an ad came up where there's this UAE this Arab model. They are
Okay.
vloggers, and she also have this vitiligo, and she has started modeling. So
Okay,
she
okay.
was watching a video on YouTube, and that ad came up, and she actually called me and she says, "Mom, come. This auntie looks like you." That I
Oh,
remember. Abhi mujhe ye, yeah, I just remembered that she
okay.
actually called me and she said, "Mom, look, this auntie looks like you." And I said, "Yes, she does." So yeah, I remember that. So now that I reflect on it, I understand that she does have this realization, but she's still not curious enough to ask me those kind of questions. She
Right.
does realize that this is a particular way my mom looks, but she is not very
She doesn't
familiar with
have
the
a
fact that
negative
she looks so
image of it,
different.
actually.
Yes, yes, to put it that way, yes,
Yeah,
true.
yeah, some people
Mm,
have a lot of acne also. So if you see that a lot in the house, then you don't feel weird around it. But if you've never seen
true, true,
somebody
true,
with different kind of acnes and breakouts, then you'll be like, oh, what happened to your face or something, right? I had this
true, yes.
big pimple come here, and everybody was like, what happened to you? What happened? Is it hurting? So I guess for your daughter, it was just normal. She knows
Yes.
it and she's aware of it, but it's normal. It's not something to feel ashamed of or to be like uh, asking questions around, right? That's how I feel.
True.
Afifa, what message would you want to give to anybody who knows they have this condition, but they're really struggling for self-acceptance, like they can't accept themselves, they're blaming God or they're blaming themselves or whatever, but they're struggling with this dilemma of not being able to accept that this is their reality.
Maybe first and foremost, they should stop running for a cure. They should understand that, okay, this could be controlled because this is autoimmune. I would start with the medical point of view. Everybody who is suffering with this, we need to understand that this is autoimmune, which means this cannot be cured. This can be controlled. Sometimes this can increase, this can decrease. I told you this is a pathological condition. So with pregnancies, it would expand or something, which is, could be any reason.
Right.
You first and foremost stop running behind the cures to find a cure. Because if you are still running for a cure, that means you're still not accepting yourself.
Mm.
If you have, contracted it overnight, it becomes a bit difficult and it's very overwhelming. I can totally understand that. Whenever, to this date, I'm 31 years old, I'm 32 years old, and I still get overwhelmed by the fact that, oh my God, most of my body is covered with this. Sometimes it does happen. I still
And
get
that's
overwhelmed.
okay.
But yes, that's okay. That's human behavior. That's human nature.
Right.
You cannot be so stone cold not to acknowledge the fact that you have something different.
Yeah.
You
True.
have to find beauty in your difference. You have to find natural in your difference.
Mm.
And for that, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा, the way I said it to the girls, if there's any child, if there's any growing up teenage girl who is going through this, just look in the mirror and tell yourself you're fine. It doesn't matter. And makeup, no makeup, that's entirely, it should be your choice. Self acceptance starts in your mind and then in your heart. In fact, I would say in your heart first and then in your mind. You have to accept in your heart that this is how you're going to look for the rest of your life. Once your heart is, content with the fact that this is your reality, your mind would tune itself in the source.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
only then you would find inner peace.
and then you'll show up
Don't.
differently for yourself.
Yes, yes. Then you can choose for yourself. If you want to wear makeup, if you want to conceal yourself with, because article you can find anything. You can do whatever you want to with your body. In
Yeah.
fact, I would also mention one more thing. During one of the PTMs, one of my students' mom, she runs a very popular salon in Lahore. So during the PTM, when we were done with the PTM, she said, "I would really love to work on you. I would really like you to come to my place, and I would teach you how to conceal all of that." And I very politely said, Thank you so much for your offer, but I think I'm fine." And she appreciated the fact, and she said, "I'm so glad that you are happy with how you look, but I was just saying that you could be a case study for others who want to conceal." So yeah, so there are people who are, like you said, who are curious, you know. So she wanted to know, she wanted to work on me and see what products could conceal this and what products could not. So there are so many different, approaches to this, and so many different aspects of this to make something good out of it. Just acceptance जो होती है ना, acceptance has to come within
Just,
yourself.
I think acceptance is superpower. Once you understand
True.
who you are, the way you are,
Sorry.
you unleash yourself
True.
into reaching your full potential, because then there is no resistance, and then
True.
this whole world opens where you can explore and know what you
True.
really want and live a fulfilled life.
True. That is so true. That is so true.
Just one last question, Afifa.
Sure.
I want to know more, a little bit story about how you and your husband met and what he had to say about it. Did he show any resistance, or was it all, it was very natural and it went with the flow?
Actually, he's my cousin. He's my first cousin. He's my khala's beta.
Okay.
And we've been best of friends since the childhood. He's been my best friend since I've known, actually. He's 5 years elder than me, and I am his best friend since I was born, I guess. Um, Even though we were not living in the same country for most of our lives, but we used to talk on telephone. We used to write letters, actually. I loved writing letters. So I remember I still have all his letters. He used to discuss his, boy problem with his boy gang. He used to write them to me. Okay, that friend did that to me, and this friend is not working out, and this is happening because he's the only son. He has five sisters.
Okay.
So yeah, so he was my best friend, and I think that was kind of natural for him and for me as well, that we were destined to be, life partners, and we were engaged when I was 19. So yeah, that was kind of natural. No, he never showed any resistance, because I think because he is my family member as well, so we have grown with it. That was his normal as well. So I'm
Right.
blessed that way. I'm
Right.
very blessed that way because it's his normal as well. So yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful. And when you both go out together and somebody passes a cheesy comment about it, does he intervene and defend you, or does he get upset, or he just lets you handle it?
He mostly lets me handle it because we do actually get a lot of it. He's quite handsome, mashallah. He's tall and he's fair skinned and with curly black hair. He's quite good looking. So when we so when we walk together, and I've gained some weight after the pregnancies as well, and he's still that slim, smart person. So yes, when we go out, people actually do comment that auntie ke saath ja raha hai. And yeah, we were sitting in a restaurant once, and there were some kids who actually said that, and he was like, ये क्या ये क्या कर रहे हैं? And I was like, let them be, it's fine. So that particular moment he was upset, but other than that, he lets me handle. If somebody comes up to me and they asks a weird question, he knows that I can handle myself, and he mostly is not bothered because he knows it's just maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's their mindset. So no, he's kind of chilled in that way. He doesn't intervene.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Afifa,
Yeah.
thank you so much for letting me have this conversation. I did
You're
not know you at
welcome.
all. I just randomly came to you, and
Yeah,
this was,
yes,
I
that's
think
true.
this was meant to be. But I was really deeply touched the way you were narrating your story that day, and that is why I wanted to. I wanted you to come and share this story because I know people in our part of the world still are really curious and they still would
True.
say inappropriate questions, and we need to
Yes.
understand that we all need. Once again, thank you so much for doing
Thank you so
this,
much for having
and
me.
absolutely, absolutely, I'm sending you so much love, Afifa. Any final words
Thank
that
you.
you
Thank you
would
so much.
want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Just that love yourself. Love yourself because self-acceptance starts with self-love. And let the world be. It doesn't matter. And if it does, make it work for you. It's
Yes,
just that. Thank you so much
yes.
for having me. I'm honored and I feel, yeah, I feel blessed to have met you so that I could tell my ordinary story to all those amazing people who are out there and with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was an extraordinary story. Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
and
you.
inspiring all of us tonight. I'm sending you so much love. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you, Ji. Jazakallah. Allah Hafiz.
Bye, babe.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.